So I was reading up on Henry Clay last night, and I found some pretty interesting things in his electoral history. If you're not familiar with Clay, he was like one of the most influential dudes of the 1800s without ever becoming president. He did, however, hold like every other office you could. He was in the Kentucky State House. He became Speaker of the House. He was a U.S. Senator a couple different times. He was Secretary of State. This guy was freaking everywhere in his 50-year career. Anyway, I thought it was interesting that when he was first elected to the House in 1811 at the age of 34, they just made him Speaker of the House his first day on the job. Bam. Now, there was a major push at the time to go to war with Great Britain, and young Henry Clay was all about that life, so that's probably why they were like, yo, I like this kid. Let's put him in charge of everything. And then that led to the War of 1812, where the British ended up occupying Washington and burning down the White House. Anyway, so Speaker of the House on day one, that's pretty cool. But before all this happened, he was appointed to the U.S. Senate at age 29. But what's weird about that is the Constitution says you have to be 30 years old to be U.S. Senator, and he was only 29. So as far as I can tell, they just like let it slide. Not really sure why. It's probably because he was senator only for 2 months. He was like filling out the term of some guy who had to resign. So they were just like, fuck it, who cares? So Clay obviously got a lot of breaks early on, but like I said, he had a super long career, and he was like at the center of every major policy decision leading up to the Civil War. Oh yeah, I also noticed that Henry Clay fought in a lot of duels. Like, they were sort of commonplace in the 19th century, but it seems like anytime anybody mildly talks shit about him, he's like, yo, meet me down by the river, we're shooting guns at each other. And it was also common with duels back then that like they ended up not really happening in the end, or like when people did show up, they just like shot guns into the air. But it seems like more often than not, Henry Clay was like, no, we're shooting to kill. I'm trying to kill you with my gun. I couldn't really find out like how many duels he was in or like how many people he killed, but I do know that he has shot people, and he has also gotten shot and survived. Anyway, so he lived to the age of 75 when he died of tuberculosis. And that's Henry Clay.